Computer. Here we go.
Okay, perfect. Just as long as we have this, then the ability to post it later if it's not live now.
Okay.
Um, okay, perfect. Welcome. It's nice to see all six of us in the same virtual space. Uh, it's been a while. How is everyone?
Recovering, but okay.
Doing
Good,
well.
good, good. All right. So, did everyone get a chance to review the meeting minutes from when Pat and I met on the first? Okay.
I looked
Did
them
anybody
over.
have any questions? Any other corrections, Pat, between the two of us?
Nope, seemed what the old person remembers seemed to be, unless you remember something else, Jamie. I trust you.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. In a second.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Okay.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. So, the next thing on our agenda is talking about as we're getting applications in, making sure that we have kind of a running list of any member conflicts. I know that the city of Bangor had their most recent meeting on the 22nd, so last Wednesday, regarding conflicts of interest. I know that we've kind of established a policy, but I think as we're getting specifically some applications in, that we want to make sure that we're, you know, kind of publicly stating we've got some conflicts going on. Wendy, go ahead.
So I just had someone ask me if the commissioners could write a letter of support, and clearly they cannot because that in itself wouldn't work. So I just want to put it out there that if for any of the people watching on the public, they would not be able to write you a letter of support because of the fact that, they're approving these. So just so everyone is aware of that out there.
Right. Both for applications to the commissioners, obviously,
Yeah.
writing a letter of support and something that you're going to put on seems a
I'm like,
little
well, if they would
awkward.
be approving
Um,
it, I'm thinking that's a
right.
no.
Yeah. But also, since we're going to be working closely with Bangor, which is a little bit farther down on the agenda, how does this committee feel about the any requests from the commissioners? And I don't know if they've already written letters of support for like city Bangor applications, but because there's quite a bit of crossover there, I don't know if they've written any yet or if they have any thoughts around that.
I cannot imagine that they would have, to be honest.
Okay.
Because to me it was kind of like, of course, no, we can't. But if it should come up, then we would have to discard that letter of support.
Pat, did you have something to add?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that if the commissioners have another role, although I would assume that they would renege on that and have somebody else. But I'm saying
Yeah.
if you had another role, if you were, the chair of a board or something else, I'm assuming that you would just have someone else from your board write the letter rather than it be you, because they have their own set of conflicts. So again, because Maine is a small world, large in land mass, but a small world. I'm assuming that if I was a commissioner, I was on a board, I wouldn't be the one signing the letter of support.
I would think too, Pat, going with that, because I was aware of one of the city council people uh, voting on awarding a certain organization money when they were on the board, and that really is just not okay,
Yeah,
So I would think if anyone was on a board of an organization, they would not really be able to do that at all and vote on it because
yeah,
that would just be a conflict of interest for sure.
yeah.
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 Do we have a list so far? Do we have a number of how many applicants we have, and do we have a list so far?
I can check. Give me 1 second.
Because also as time starts to dwindle away, we need to know how many conflicts are on there to make sure we
Right.
have enough reviewers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we were kind
Yeah.
of hammering into of
Let, let's just go around the table and list any conflicts of interest each of us have. So I can
yeah.
start. You look that up. I can start. It'd be breaking the cycle for me.
Mm.
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would think like for the sheriff, like obviously sheriff, you're not going to vote on something for, something that's going on with that we're requesting for the jail. I mean, that's things like that. Angela, you're with Barn. Like there's certain things that obviously you're not going to vote on any organization that you are with,
Angela, go ahead.
Yes, that's what I was going to say is that I would be the Bangor Area Recovery Network
right?
that I would
Yeah.
abstain from. Yep.
Yeah.
The only one currently that I probably know will apply that I'm actually doing some work with is for me is Together Place.
Okay.
Um,
What do you do for them?
Probably I serve on other boards, but I
Ah,
don't
okay.
think that at the moment if I see their name, I'll tell you.
Got it.
But right now, that would be the one that I would be uncomfortable scoring.
Yeah. I think if you look at it just logically and go, okay, so could this come back and bite me? You know what I mean? Like, no, then don't do it. And I think we have quite a few. I mean, there's quite a few of us that are able to pass something. So I don't see there being a problem.
Sheriff.
I've already started receiving requests from various groups all over, as they always do, asking for me to endorse letters from them. So I'm already denying many groups that are asking for letters. Also, I'll have to address this with the commission, but the county jail is already receiving funding for its MAT program. Um, Really particularly to the use of a certain medication. So there is grant funding through the state for the screening process and only a small part of one particular medication. So the second medication is not funded. We've repeatedly gone to the state to see if they would fund that. They will not. They're directing us back to the opioid money. And so that's currently what's happening monthly. So I don't know if the commission is going to require us to file another application for use of opioid money that's already being used for medications in the jail. So I'll have to figure that out. But that's the only one that I know of that we would immediately, if need be, do. And I hope that we would all support this. This is property taxpayers are paying for the jail budget, which we're hearing about every day that people are concerned about. So if it's not paid through this way, it's directly going to go right onto property tax.
Yeah, I would
Sheriff.
say, Sheriff, I would say on that one, because we're already familiar that the MAT thing, I mean, it's not like you're gonna have to put in an application for that. We've been doing it already. So it's that in particular would be kind of a moot point. I would say if the commissioners wanted you to do the other uh, drug that you're talking about, that would be probably we would request that through the state. Um, which Pat may know when they're gonna open that up again. I don't know. But yeah, that would be my take on that.
I'm going to ask one question of Sheriff and then Pat, go ahead. Sheriff, can you give us a little bit more information about who at the state is directing you to talk about opioid settlement money for use of this additional medication instead of, because there was a fiscal note attached to the bill that required you to provide all three medications, but that fiscal note didn't get approved, even though the bill did pass that does require you for that. So I'm interested to know who's kind of pushing the opioid settlement money as the solution instead of the state providing the funding for something that they're mandating of you.
Well, it's similar to all 250 state standards that tell us how to run the county jails with mandates. They haven't funded nearly any of them. But with that being said, this is particularly under DHHS, who manages the MAT grants for us. Unfortunately, they're great people to work with. They've been very helpful. And I think they have to pull money from different grants that they manage to help each of the county jails. So one portion pays for screening services, one pays for follow-up counseling, and then a small amount pays for one of the medications and testing and stuff like that. And so the organization that we work with, the grant managers, are the ones that have directed us back to utilizing opioid funds. It's disappointing
Interesting.
because the same medications assigned to individuals or prescribed to individuals on the outside would be covered, and I always get this wrong, main care or Medicaid would pay for them on the outside, but where they're in the county jail, it solely comes out of the property tax budget. And so until that's rectified by the state, which has either filed for application or is in the process of filing for the application to change that, we're years away from that happening.
Thank you for that. Pat, go ahead.
Two things. One is, yes, there are opiate funds that are going to jail to pay for medication. Those were ones that got accepted in the first round of grants that we did. So they're in their first year of a 2-year grant. There was a couple of jails that received some funding for a medication assisted program. I think York was one of them. I can't remember off the top of my head. But my question really is, I just want for clarification because I'm a little confused. I thought, and I could be wrong, I thought that a portion of the Penobscot County opiate funds was going to the jail automatically, and the remainder of the 400,000 that we were doing was for the general public. But some of that opiate funds from the Penobscot portion was already going to go to be directly allocated for medication in the jail. And I don't know where I got that idea, so I may be right off. I just want a clarification.
No, you're correct. I mean, that is, that's what we were just saying is that
Okay.
they are getting it, but it's only for one of the medications, right, Troy? That it's not all of them, unfortunately. It's very expensive. And so the amount that has already been allocated doesn't take care of the entire problem.
So
So
are they eligible? Is the Penobscot County Jail eligible to apply for this round of grant dollars that we just put out the application for?
I don't think that if and so I don't know, and Wendy may know more than I don't know that the commission set a particular figure. I know that their intent was to utilize opioid funds to mitigate the cost of any additional cost of MAT to the county's budget. And again, so we get state funding that helps for portions. There's two different grants that they manage that with. To be clear, so folks will know on the medications and help me if I get the wrong verbiage, but the budget already takes care of and grants take care of Suboxone. But to increase the use or to be helpful, particularly to Bangor, because we had so many methadone clinics here, we allowed methadone to be used here. The issue is for us, it's a little bit more expensive because we can't ship people out every day to require dosage, and which would cost tremendous amount of money in transportation. And because the rules are so much different for methadone, nursing staff from a company comes in and provides dosing in the jail. So that is the part that the county is funding for opioid, is only on the methadone portion. and not the Suboxone, the screening, or the counseling, which is all coming out of the states. And that theirs is not the opioid grant. I don't know what grant it is. It's federal money divided by the state. I don't see us needing to apply for anything else, both on the sheriff's office and or the jail. I think that as long as this portion is covered, then, and it's not passed on to the budget itself, I think we're fine. I've hoped for the past year that it's gone on, that perhaps there'll be other mechanisms or funding out there that will help take care of this. But right now it's just not there.
Also keeping in mind, Pat, too, that our cap for amount that people can apply for is $49,999. And I know, Sheriff, that's not going to cover a year's worth of MAT in the jail. So, okay. Thank you for helping to clear that up. To answer the question, we actually only have one application turned in right now. So we encourage everyone to continue working on those applications and turning them in. It is October 27th, so we've got about 2.5, 3 weeks left until this closes. And I know probably a bunch of them will come in the final week of this. That's kind of how it goes, I'm sure. But yes, we're encouraging people to continue to apply, please. Just to kind of round out the list of conflicts, at this moment, I volunteer support as in I'm friends of, but don't gain any kind of benefit from any organization at this moment. So I'm happy to step away if other people feel like there are other conflicts that are happening with any of the future applicants. But at this moment, I don't have any direct conflict. Randy, did you have something?
No, I'm sorry. I'll wait till you finish this, and then I'll ask my question.
I think we're good unless, Wendy, you have any conflicts that need to be.
I don't, because I don't work with anyone in particular, so.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right, Randy, go ahead.
So I was wondering, can one program submit for several different projects at once that they're working on, or is this only a one-up type of a situation right now? I mean, if an organization was trying to hire a clinical staff, and another thing that they wanted was uh, let's say, help with transportation issues. Could they actually submit two different applications for their programs that they need, or is just this one application per unit right now?
So we had a little bit of a discussion about that during our kind of overview of the application. And the way that we've kind of set this up is, if that was the example, those would both fall under the same pillar for treatment, right? For transportation and for the clinician. So that would be actually one application. That wouldn't be two separate applications. We want to make sure that we're receiving applications that address a specific pillar within a specific area of the county. So that's kind of the focus. If there is a county-wide organization, like for instance, Penquis, and they want to apply for, I'm just off the top of my head here, I don't know anything factual. This is just an example. If they wanted to apply for a prevention grant for Bangor, and then they wanted to apply for a treatment transportation grant for Millinocket. Those would be looked at as two separate applications that, as long as they're
Okay.
falling within the 49.9
Yep.
cap,
That answers
because
my
they're
question.
addressing two
Thank
separate
you.
things. Yep. Okay. Without any other questions, comments, we'll move on to the next piece. So as far as thinking about our committee's policies and procedures, I know that when we first gathered as a group, we were all very interested in trying to really push forward on how are we going to do this application? How are we going to get the money out as quickly as possible? And thinking about the future of this committee of an opioid settlement committee that it will advise the commissioners. Taking a step back and thinking about what will this look like in the future and how can we help set up future committee members, committee establishment for success, in that there are well laid out parameters, rules and regulations, policies, procedures, whatever you want to call them. So that it's clear that obviously we all agreed when we first jumped into this that we're not going to be on this committee for the next 16 whatever years, and being able to hand this off to another group of people that have a really good understanding about what it is that this group is tasked with and the parameters which need to be followed. Did everybody get a chance to kind of look over the draft rules and regs that I had sent out, as well as the policy template that Moss had sent out?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'm curious as to whether or not we could kind of look through those and see if there is a preferred way of wording things and making sure that we have all of our understanding kind of in alignment about what it is that we're doing, and making sure that we can give a document to the commissioners as a recommendation for this committee in an ongoing way, so that there are specific rules and regulations and we know exactly what it is that we and then future we's will be doing. Go ahead, Pat.
So I have a question. Does the commission have other subcommittees?
For opioid?
No, for anything. Do they have regular subcommittees where they ask people to be part of? And the reason I ask that is that usually if an organization has subcommittees, there's some sort of general rules to go for all of them. And again, some will be more specific as to what the assignment or the guideline is, but I just didn't know whether the commissioners had other subgroups that they have guidelines for.
Not to my knowledge, but I'm not, I'm not all knowing. I haven't had anybody that I've noticed come into like a commissioner meeting and update them on things, so I
Okay.
I would say like I don't think so. Uh, but we can always, I mean, I can ask them when I go to the meeting if they, I'll put that down.
I'm not aware of any groups in my tenure with the county.
Yeah.
We have the budget committee, which is oversees the budget. They're provided with materials from that. Other than that, it's generally department head
Yeah.
response to them. They did not do that. They didn't have a committee for the use of ARPA funds, which I've continued to compare this to the ARPA funds. I think this is much more involved, having a committee review them, which is fine. But yeah, I'm not aware of any others that the commission has. So I don't know that there would be rules set up for them.
Right. Right.
In this, obviously the source of this funding and the prolonged period in which it will be received and needing to be allocated is quite different than ARPA too.
Mm-hmm.
So, thinking about the two documents, and I do have them up and I can screen share, I think. Is there a preference for like kind of using one or the other as the draft template? The one that I put together essentially was a rewording of the main recovery councils that was kind of shifted into we're a committee, not a council. And we don't have an executive director that's overseeing all these things. This is kind of our smaller scope and purview. But the Moss Center did provide a policy template too. So I don't know if there's one or the other that makes more sense for us to kind of like work on.
I have up in front of me the Penobscot County Opioid Settlement Fund Advisory Committee. Article 1, is that the one that you're talking about, Jamie? To me, I
Yeah.
think this is less is more. I think this is straight to the point. It's generic enough that it covers what we need. Um, I think this group has done well, but man, we really seem to be tied up in the weeds. I know it's important, but I think we just got to keep moving forward. I think this document covers it. It's generic, but covers the main points that I think there could potentially be any conflict for a committee that is really an advisory group, not a
Right.
mandated group.
And I think as we go along, this isn't written in stone. It'll be a moving target. So I'm sure that we can amend it as we find things out as we go along. But certainly, it gives us a structure to go by initially. Thank you, Jamie, for
For
that.
sure. You're welcome. The one thing that I wanted to kind of press into just a little bit, because it was literally a suggestion of looking at the committee shall consist of 6 members, obviously, who we have here, in an ongoing way. I don't know if that's something that we want to expand. I know that MRC and like the city of Bangor as well as Moss recommended other perspectives represented. And is there any shift that might want to happen here? Go ahead, Pat.
It's not there. I have no problem with that. That seems to be, in 6 is a good number. Sometimes for voting purposes, you like 7. But because that just sort of breaks a tie. The thing that I want to talk about is that we struggle with at the Maine Recovery Council in the fact that it's term limited and that everyone's serving at the same time. So literally, the Maine Recovery Council in 4 years will be all new at the same time. So there's no flow of history or experience when you have everybody serving the same term with the same term limits. So you may want to think of, like, luckily, out of the 15 members, 5 of them didn't go into their second term. So when the first group's term ends for the 4 years, you literally will, over 3/4 of that council will be gone and all new. And again, you worry about perspective of history and experience, and how that goes. But that's the only place that I would think about tweaking a little to figure out. So every year or every 2 years, you don't have totally new committee.
I wanted to, in light of that, and then also maybe adjust the members as far as the county government representative. I think in looking at how Wendy's perspective has really helped us with the procurement process and how grants go, and seeing how things could maybe shift and been a little bit easier for some other entities who received funding. Number one, I would recommend that membership includes someone with good procurement understanding and grant process understanding. So I would want to add that piece in. And then maybe it makes sense to ask the commissioners if, these specific roles, the county government representative, law enforcement representative, and someone with opioid use disorder lived experience, those are the ones that can serve longer terms, and their appointees, each commissioner's appointee only serves 1 term or what have you. So they would have to swap out who they're appointing to that committee more regularly. What do people think about that?
Euler.
That might be the way to address this, because I don't know that the county's going to give up their right to select who they want to represent the county.
Right. And absolutely, it would just mean that every 2 years or however long we decide the term should be, that they would just appoint someone new. So the commissioners would always have appointees on the committee. They would just appoint somebody new every 2 years from like each individual commissioner, so that there is some rotating out, but the core roles are consistently filled. Maybe those ones don't cycle out as quickly.
I
Go
don't
ahead,
know
Angela.
That's that's the part that I think that you're limiting. The Maine Recovery Council has no choice to do it the way they do it because it's in statute. You have no choice but to do it that way, unless you want to change law because it's in statute. The thing is here that is with the appointing of the commissioners, to say that they have to every 2 years appoint somebody new, they're eventually going to run out of people quickly who are willing to serve, who have an expertise and are willing to do it. That would be my thing, is that every year if they want to appoint the same person they think's doing a good job or whatever, I say let them go for it. But to
You
limit them
right?
to say
You sleeping? Good girl.
that if you have to, you can't reappoint somebody, I'm not sure that's the way to go. And if I added anyone to this group, I would say you should have at least 2 people with lived experience serving on the committee.
You know what I was thinking too is that like you were saying, that the Maine Recovery Council has a statute to do it. We're volunteers. Um, and already, I mean, all of you are so busy that I don't know that there is a reason to put a time limit on anybody because we're lucky to have who we have serving, and I don't know that we would need, I think over time, there's going to be like, you know what, I just don't have the time to do this, and maybe, that person can say that they have to be, they have to finish, this is their last year or whatever, and then we can look at having somebody else in. I think we're really allowing a lot of uh, input from the outside. So honestly, I just don't see how any of us is just going to be so staunch in our ways of thinking that we are, but I don't think that it's important to do that. And then again, like, we only have another, what, 15, 20 minutes on this. If we take this much time for all of this stuff, which albeit we only have to do this one time, hopefully, I don't want to have to revisit this in 2 years. I think we just need to like get this done so we can get into the meat. And then and then after that, I've got all the reporting to do and stuff. So I don't think that we should put a time limit on it. So
Okay.
that's
Can I
just what
make a
I think.
suggestion? Maybe we scratch this section 2.2 and we just stick with the section 2.4. People stay on until they resign, and then in the event of a vacancy, the appointing
Yeah.
commissioner selects a new person.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
How does everybody else feel about this?
So far, so good.
Sheriff and Randy? Okay.
I hate to even throw this in there because we beat this to death, but I do feel like those not working for the county, in order for there to change, there should be able to have some movement in that. I don't know what a time limit is. Maybe you're right. Maybe just leave it there. But if somebody said, I'm going to be on the committee for the next until its duration, is that fair to others outside of the county that might want to be on the group?
Well, we also have to remember that we serve at the pleasure of the county commissioners. And if they're displeased with our works, they can ask us to leave.
Right.
And or they can just say, look, Randy, you've been here with us for 5 years. I'd like to appoint so and so, and leave it something easy like that. We serve at their pleasure. We're not sealed into these positions. So that might be a way to go forward. But remember, this is just the backbones. For now, we can talk
Sure.
a lot about it at another time. But I think to get through this, like Wendy says, let's just scratch that 2.2 for now and see
Okay.
how it goes.
Okay. I think the rest of this was pretty standard, and we kind of already laid out the conflict of interest. This is just a little bit more specifics around that we've already discussed. Um, yeah, 2 pages, that's it. So how can I get a motion to present this to the county commissioners?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. Any question? Go ahead, Randy.
No, I'm just voting.
Just vote in favor. Okay. All right. Seeing no argument, this can go to the county commissioners for their approval. Thank you all for that. I'm gonna stop sharing if I can figure out how to do that. There it is. The last kind of piece, other than an update on the funds received and spent, just so that we have like updated totals around all of that, is the collaborative application process with the city of Bangor. I took a quick look at their last meeting. It looks like they might be meeting again in 2 weeks to kind of finish figuring out their conflict of interest stuff. But we would need to connect with them to see when we want to have a collective meeting again. Their application opened on October 20 and it closes on December 1st. So I imagine that we will at least want to go through and score the ones that we've already, well, when our application closes on the 15th of November, we'll go through and score. And then when they get their applications in, then we can connect with them and kind of see where things fall and what happens with people who've applied to both, if we're going to share those costs or if we're going to take some and they'll take some, and kind of figure that out.
What
Does
did you
anybody
say
have
the city's deadline was again? I'm sorry.
December 1st?
December 1st. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Does anybody have any thoughts about the process of how we want to continue to connect with the city, aside from what I just shared?
I do know there are a couple people that are going to do collaborative, that are going to go ahead and apply at both the city and with the county, which absolutely makes sense. I think that we also need to look at, like we discussed before, if say, I don't think the city did a cap on how much they were giving like we did, but we have to look at
They
too, how
actually are
much
following
is
the same
that?
structure.
Yeah, how much is
Theirs
that
is the same.
project? Like, how much is it going to cost for their project to be completed? Because we don't want to give out money that it's going to take them another year or two to get the rest of the funds for that. So, I know a couple of people asked me, like, their amounts were so high. It was like, I would have to say that it's probably not likely that, if it's going to be over and your project is 1 million and you're going to get $100,000, this isn't the right one for you. This isn't the right round because we just don't have that kind of funding.
Right. Yeah, the city, I think, is handing out 650,000 of their money, and they're also following the same tier structure and amounts that we are.
Okay, good.
So I think that, yeah, for future rounds, there's definitely probably a good way for the city and the county to collaborate on being able to offer kind of like a bigger amount for those bigger projects. And we'll have to connect with them and see how we want to do that. But at least for this round, I think it's definitely those smaller projects that we want to make sure we can get the money out to quickly. So, okay. Speaking of the meat of what it is that we want to make sure that our committee is doing, and thinking about when we want to next meet so that we have a meeting on the books and we're not scrambling to find meeting time. Number one, when do we want to meet again? And number two, what would we like the agenda to be, since we have, again, today's the 27th, so we've got 3 weeks until our application is due.
Can I just suggest one thing? I don't believe, and this is my opinion, I do not believe we need in-person meetings. I think that Zoom meetings are sufficient. It's just like saying this, this could have been an email type of thing, right? So our meetings honestly could be a Zoom all the time because that's so much easier for all of us. And I would suggest that we do that because I'm happy to have like public comment after from people that want to, have a question or anything like that. That's fine. However, this is such an easier way for all of us to do this, and really the point is just meeting so that we can get this done.
I agree.
Go ahead, Pat.
So mine is basically more not, I mean, I don't mind Zoom or in person. I don't care either one. So I do know that it's easier if you do in person or Zoom. Trying to do a hybrid is hard. When you have half the people on Zoom and half in the building, those meetings are impossible, particularly to chair, Jamie. um, my thing is the agenda for the next meeting. I would really like to talk about the tool that we're using to score and how we will do that, and talk about our procedure. And so we're able to ask questions about how the scoring will go and develop that protocol about how many we will be looking at, how we'll report those scores, a little bit about the rubric, and in sort of educating us on expectations of what's a 5, what's a 4,
Right.
kind of thing. If that would be for me, the next meeting would be helpful to have that.
Yes.
Great. What else would we like to cover in the next meeting? Not that we probably couldn't fill an hour's meeting with that, but I want to make sure we get all of the questions, concerns, needing information, wanting to talk about something on the radar at this moment.
Recall to, or not recall, but remember that in order for me to present anything to the commissioners, anything we talk about is always going to be like the next one. So like this meeting is not enough time because they've already received their packet of stuff. So we can't talk to them this week, this Wednesday, right? So it's not going to be until the next meeting that we can talk to them. So um, I like the Mondays. I like the 9:30 slot. If that, to me, that works great. But just know that it will always kind of be dragged behind for presenting to the commissioners.
So recommend that we meet the week before the commissioners meeting so that we will hear from
Yeah,
them in the next week.
exactly.
Okay. So they are meeting the 1st and 3rd
Yeah.
Wednesdays of the month.
Yeah. So it'd be the 5th and the 19th. Um, the only time that changes usually is if there's some sort of conference they're going to, or there's something like that, then it gets moved around. But
Okay. So we would be looking at November 10th for our next. So that would be the week that the application is due, which actually makes a lot of good sense for us to meet then so that we can go over how we're going to be reviewing these applications, the scoring rubrics, etc.
right.
And that way we're ready to roll when
Okay.
the 16th happens.
I'm on vacation that day, but if these meetings are taped,
Yeah.
I can watch it on YouTube. But I am not available the 10th.
Okay.
Is
I'll
everyone
be in
else available the 10th?
I'll be in Connecticut that day. I'll actually be traveling, so I
On the
wouldn't be
10th.
available
Okay. So
on
Pat
the 10th.
cannot, Randy cannot. What do you guys think about doing next week, the 3rd? Is that too soon for everyone or?
I think that's fine with me because I think we ought to get that rubric down before we see the grants.
Okay,
Right.
good point.
The rubric is established. It's just making sure that we all understand how we're using it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just so the public knows, we do have the rubric already done. It's already
Yeah.
posted. Just making sure that all of us are on the same page about what all of it means.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
November
so
3rd, how do we feel?
I'm fine with it.
November 3rd works for me.
Okay. So November 3rd, 9:30 to 10:30 Zoom.
would it be useful to ask someone from the Moss Center to help guide that conversation because they have the rubric is
Yep.
the template of theirs. So they're
Correct.
also training other entities on that.
Yeah, if they have
And
time, that'd be awesome.
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And will we be, I'm assuming we're doing it on a computer, that there's some sort of way that we're getting in, doing it, and that conversation would be great too.
Right.
And the Moss Center
So
will be part of that. Yeah.
because people are submitting on via Google Forms, all of
Mhm.
it will be able to be on the computer. And then we'll also be using a digital scoring form so that that's easy to do. The computer could do the math. We don't have to do that by hand anymore. We have the
But
technology.
again, it would be nice to be able to see how it's set up in
Yeah.
Google and to sort of walk through that. Thank you.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and some people are having a hard time with the Google Forms because they don't understand how to like set up an account for it or whatnot. And they've been just downloading PDFs and then they send them to my email, which I need to forward and figure out. So what what's your suggestion for that? If they don't do the Google form and they do a PDF, how do you want that to go?
That's challenging just because then they they need to submit it on the Google form. You shouldn't need to have an account to to submit on the Google form. Like you shouldn't need to have a Google Gmail account to submit it. Um,
You know what though? I do. Like I did. Whenever I was trying to look at stuff, it always takes me to my Google account, wants me to put in my personal because that's what my computer recognizes is my personal Google account. And I know that when I hit the application to look at it, it wants me to sign into my Google account. And then other people were saying that they were not able to do the Google form because they don't have a Google account. I think that I know that when we did Smarter Select, you had to create an account. You know what I mean? Like it just
right,
is what it
right.
is because that's how we did it. So, uh, do you know if is there a way for us to personally upload something when a person cannot do it? Because I know Smarter
Yeah,
Select, they would let us, but that was for an extra fee. But
right. Yes, there is. The struggle is with the word counts to make sure, because that's why we wanted to do part of the reason why we wanted to do the form is that that way we know word counts are being adhered to and we're not worrying about whether or not people are over and having to ding them on that. Um, so yes, and also when I email Mackenzie from the Moss Center, I will ask about this.
okay,
Because that's what other like we didn't just come up with a Google form on our own. That was what the
right.
recommendation was. And so I'm wondering how other entities have dealt with this. So I will
Okay.
include that in my email questions to her.
Oh,
We'll
that's
get it
great.
figured out. We
Okay.
promise.
Okay.
Everybody that wants to
That
apply,
sounds
will
good.
ensure that you are able to get your application in.
Okay.
Okay. It is 10:31 and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you all for
Wait,
being
did you guys
here.
want to ask the public if they want any comment?
Uh, yes. Does the public want to comment at this moment in time? I can't see it on my side, Wendy, so you'll have to.
I don't. I'm looking at this and I don't see anything. So,
Okay. Okay.
There's
Feel
two people
free.
listening in, Aaron Pyle and Laura. Oh,
oh, and
Laura
here's
raised her
Laura.
hand.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, hold on. I'm coming, Laura. Hold on. Okay, allowed to talk. Go for it, Laura.
Aaron Pyle is in, not Laura.
No, it's Laura. Well, I put allowed to talk.
Oh, there's
There you go.
Laura.
There it is. There you are.
I'm temporarily unmuted. So, yes,
There you are.
just time and are you there?
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, we can
Yeah.
hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, your timing is so perfect. Just for one unit, we've been notified by the Department of Human Services that Save a Life, our $50,000 grant that we've had for a number of years, is ending on December 31st. So, this is just perfect timing for agencies like us.
Oh, good.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sorry
Any
to hear
other
about the loss of
comments?
the money, but I'm glad that there's a light at that end of that tunnel.
Right. Okay.
Any other comments from the public, or
Aaron,
are we set to adjourn?
did Aaron have anything to say?
I don't think so. I think he just got let in.
He's muted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his
he's
hand's
muted.
not up either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay. Thank you all.
All
We'll
right.
see you
Thank
next
you,
week.
everyone. Have a good day.
All right.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.